My name is Vela, and I served as the assessment facilitator for the first cohort that participated in the Academy e-learning activity that happened on campus starting summer 2009. And in that summer there was a 3-week workshop, Academy e-learning. At the end of the following summer of 2010, after faculty teams had implemented the redesign of their courses, usually it was in that spring. The previous fall was a pilot time where they were piloting some of the things, but a full implementation happened in the spring. After that, faculty gathered their data, and then they analyzed it, sometimes with my help, sometimes not, and wrote a report summarizing what they did, and what the data suggested with respect to the success of the redesign. Assessment was at the forefront because in the end, any redesign, the utility, the efficacy of any redesign will be manifest in the data. And so we have to be informed by the data. And so as people were thinking about their redesign, they were also thinking about how can they go about assessing the effectiveness of the redesign, both in terms of how students liked the new technologies and the effect of the new technologies on objective measures of learning. With respect to what people used to do their assessment, there were a variety of techniques. Some people selected critical learning outcomes or assignments in the class. There may have been a paper, a presentation, some critical thing that happened in class that could be used as a litmus test. Others used pre- and post-test designs. They gave them a pre-test at the beginning, a post-test at the end. There were surveys, there were attitudes, there were portfolio assessments, there were semi-structured interviews, there were a variety of things that people used. The main thing that I try to emphasize as an assessment facilitator was that whatever techniques you're using to assess the effectiveness of the redesigned course, you want to be able to compare that to traditional face-to-face student learning outcomes. So whatever assessment goals that were already defined for the traditional course, you need to make sure that you are assessing those kind of student learning outcomes in your redesign, in addition to others that you might want to add to it, so that they can be direct comparisons. And that was part of the strategy, is comparing student learning outcomes as they manifested in the redesigned courses with the traditional formatted courses. There were 6 teams, and each submitted a report. The report included the assessment data of student learning outcomes, but it also included a very general metric, the percentage of D's, F's, and W's. This is something that the National Academy of Academic Transformation suggested as a litmus test, as an indicator of an effective redesign. The fact is that more students got through the class and performed at a higher level. So DFW rate was another metric that we used. I got those reports, and then I tried to summarize those reports into a meta report, a broad report that we could characterize the success of cohort 1. 3 of the 6 teams showed student learning outcomes that were statistically better, higher, than the comparable face-to-face formats. The other 3 showed no discernible difference in student learning outcomes with respect to the face-to-face or the traditional format. The DFW rates either were better in the redesigned format or showed little to no difference. So we're showing that student success wasn't harmed in at least 3 of the formats. In 3 of the other formats, the course transformations, they were actually enhanced. So I think overall, the success rate of cohort 1 was unequivocal. They did no harm. All the transformations equaled or bested the traditional face-to-face formats. And based on my assessment of the assessment reports, it was clear that we had a resounding success.